Hey, my name is Keith Dickerson, and I'm an instructional designer, and today I'm going to show you how to do a checkbox in your Articulate 360 projects. I like to use checkboxes whenever I'm going over components of a system, such as this water heater right here, to help my learners and clients interact with the material and multimedia stuff as well. All right, so after you open up Articulate, by default, you're always going to have a blank slide right here in the middle of the screen. We are going to double click that because that's where we're going to create our checkbox. Um, a good habit to start developing once you kind of build these big interactives with multiple slides and everything going on is to name these. That way you stay organized. Honestly, we're just going to do the one slide here today for this checkbox, but if you were ever doing, bigger interactive, like I said, please name these. So I'm going to go ahead and name this checkbox. You can do that by double clicking up here, or if you go back to story view, you can actually go down here and do it as well by double clicking. So not too hard to do, just do that to stay organized. First thing we're going to do now, after we've named it, is we're actually going to create the look and feel of what this slide is going to look like with a checkbox. So what I like to do is I always like to go to Insert, and I go to Shape, and I like to kind of draw some squares, rectangles, circles, just kind of like some shapes where I want things to be. Even if it's a placeholder, I might change it later on. But for something simple like a checkbox here, it's going to be really simple. First, we're going to have a header. And once you do a rectangle there, you could actually go up to Format here at the top. And shape fill, not feel, will let you change the color of it. For a client I just worked with, their colors were navy, teal, and white for their logo. So I'm just going to stick with that just because it's kind of second nature at this point. So there's that header. Now I'm actually going to draw another shape. And if you move your mouse cursor around, you'll actually get these pink rulers and guides to kind of help you and say, hey, this long vertical one, that means you're dead center of the slide. So we're perfectly 50% right here. And I'm going to draw so I get those pink lines on the left and right and bottom. Now don't worry if you got shaky hands or you're just not too comfortable with the program just yet. If you were to just draw a square like that, you could actually grab the corners and those pink lines will pop back up and help you out. We're going to go back to Format and do Shape Fill. And we're going to go for like a teal. And then finally, this might be a little redundant, but I like to do this just to be safe. We're going to go to Shape one more time. And we're going to do the same thing here on the left. And for this, it's going to be white, which it's kind of redundant, like I said, but just hear me out. It's good to have that in case you were to drop different layers or change things later on. Now you have the square. You could always just go change the color if you change your mind. So next thing, let's name these really quick. This is another good habit to start developing in Articulate. I always told my students this is kind of like video editing. If you do any kind of video editing in Premiere or Final Cut, you've got a timeline here at the bottom. You can actually click these and name them. So if I click rectangle 1, the navy header is going to get highlighted. So I'm going to name this header navy, just so I know what it is. Here on the right, rectangle 2 is the teal one. We're going to put photo area, teal, because this is where I plan on putting the photo of the, I'm going to do a water heater today because that's something I did for a couple of clients in my line of work. And in this white space, we're going to put checkbox white. Now, another big thing. You don't want to accidentally do this while we're trying to move stuff around later on. So what you actually want to do is lock these layers. And if you see right here, you got the little padlock. You can lock individual layers by doing that. And then now I can't accidentally move something and mess it up. So nice and simple. Next, let's add some text. The first easy one we could do is the header. We're going to draw a square up here. And I'm just going to put checkbox tutorial on water heaters. Something like that. Now, if you notice it's black, it's really hard to read with that navy. You can hold your mouse here, and this little text editor menu will pop up. If you're familiar with Microsoft Word, Open Office, Google Docs, of course, that's going to look familiar. You could also go here to the top under Home, and you could go change the text color there. So now it's white. I think the white's a little easier to read myself. Let's make it bold, and let's just blow it up a little bit. There you go. And then just like your word editors, we can go ahead and center it by doing like paragraph formatting there. And then lastly, if you remember those pink lines, if you move it, it'll give you that vertical pink line. It'll let you know, hey, your text box is perfectly centered right there. So no eyeballing, no guessing. The future's helping you. And then we're going to bring it down just a little bit more, and we'll get that horizontal pink line. And now it's also centered there. So look at that. It looks great. I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to put a header text, and I'm going to lock that because I don't want to accidentally move that. I'm going to do something here. If I were working with a colleague, we like to leave each other notes. You don't have to do this, but this is just something me and my colleagues do if we're sharing project files. The photo of the water heater will be on this side, and I need to go fix a little bit of my grammar there. Like I said, this might not be necessary, especially if you're working independently, but me and my colleagues will share project files and stuff and work on different slides and then do a fresh upload and send to each other every couple of days. We'll do the same thing there. We will center that. There we go. And I will put photo area text, and we'll lock that too. Now, later on, once we actually put the photo there, we can hit this little eyeball and we can actually hide that layer and you won't even see that. So it's just a nice little guide to have there to help you out later on. Now, finally, we're going to make the actual checkbox. And you don't got to make this perfect just yet, but we're going to be doing a water heater. So I'm just going to name off a few components that are on a water heater. I don't expect any of you to be a home appliance expert, but when I'm doing stuff for my clients, they expect me to know what it is. So we're going to put, let's see here, cold water inlet, hot water outlet, pressure relief valve, tank drain, control panel. And you know what? Let's leave it there. That's just 5 easy ones. We don't, like I said, we're not teaching you how to do a water heater today. But at least we'll be able to do some simple things that you can point out. We are going to blow these up. I try not to have them go more than one line. Like if you notice there, pressure relief valve. If I made it too big, valve drop to the second line. Something like that's probably good enough. You could get a little creative here. I always just do one text box to keep it simple, but I've seen people do, you know, multiple text boxes. But we're going to do this. Let's see here. Actually, I might shrink these a little bit more, just so I can put a little space between them. There we go. That'll work. So I'm just using the enter key. Nothing very taxing here. Just hitting enter, make it a little bit of space. I'm going to move this over. I'm using that pink horizontal line to know that I'm even. And there we go. Look at that. Now over here, I'm going to name this checkbox text. And I don't plan on moving that, to be honest. I think I got it pretty even and it's flowing good. We'll leave it there. Now finally, we need to add one more little thing over here to the left. We are going to go back to insert and go to shapes. And I'm going to do rectangles just because I think they're easier to draw. I'm going to do a rectangle here. And this is going to be where a checkbox appears. Now, we're only going to make one right now, because we're going to use this lovely tool called copy and paste later on. But make the first one as good as you can. Make it even with the word. Make sure you like the color. I'm actually going to make my checkboxes red. And I like that. I think that'll work. And just for giggles here, I'm going to Control C, Control V. Yeah, that'll be all right. All right, cool. I'm going to delete that one really quick. So, lastly, let's put a photo. We're going to go to Insert. We're going to go to Picture. And we're going to go from File because it's on my computer. I like to stay organized when I do these projects. I actually have a folder on my desktop called Articulate Demo. Obviously, I wouldn't always have that folder. Sometimes it would be for the client. I'd be like Client 1, Client 2, etc. So anytime you're planning to do an interactive build in Articulate, try to have a folder made with all your stuff collected in one place so you're not digging and losing track of it. When you insert a photo, mine's coming in horizontal, it does give you some options under Format. I'm going to go rotate, and we are going to go left 90 degrees, and we'll shrink that little guy down. And we're going to bring it over here. That's about right. Let me blow it up, make it fill all that really quick. There we go. That looks pretty even. I'm going to name this water heater photo. And let's see here. I'm actually going to go to the photo area thing, and I'm going to erase that like I told you. Let's go ahead and drag this over to the right. And let's go back to the checkbox white layer. Let's unlock that. How about we drag that over there so it doesn't look like we're just wasting space there. That'll work. I'll lock that. Let's lock the photo. And then we never named this rectangle, but that's okay. I'm going to name this button 1 for now. Now, we need to add 4 more buttons. What I want you to do actually first, though, is click it and go to States. And we're going to hit Edit States. Now, states are a way that you could program how something looks or reacts to an action in Articulate. What we're going to do here is when you click that square, it's going to turn it into a button. That we're going to say, hey, when it goes into a visited state, as if you had clicked it and visited it like a web page, it's going to add a different image on top of the red box. So we'll go to States, we'll hit Edit States, and we're going to do New. And they've got all the states listed here, but we're looking for the one called Visited, because that means we clicked it. Now we're going to hit Add. Now if you look here, normal and visited are identical, but we're going to go to Visited. And we're going to go up to Insert, and we're going to go to this Icons button. Articulate's really awesome. They have an incredible online library of little, SVG graphics for, checkboxes, people icons, things like that. Just to give you an idea, I'll type in engineering, and they'll give you like hundreds, if not, maybe thousands even. I've never gone too far down the rabbit hole. But they'll give you like, hey, here's a construction person, here's somebody with some gears, here's a pencil, just to kind of convey that theme of engineering. We're just going to look for a check mark. So pretty plain and simple. Look at that. Let's just go with this guy. So we're going to hit this. Now we've inserted it, and it's not on the red box. This is not rocket science. We're going to shrink it, and we're going to move it on top of that red box. I kind of like the idea of, as a former teacher, of you're checking it, and it, sometimes the X or the check mark goes out of the box. It looks a little more handwritten, hand-drawn, if you will. So we'll do something like that, right? So what this means right here, normal, when you first load this page, it's just a red square. But after you click it, it's going to make a check mark. All right. Big thing we should do now, we're going to hit Save. And I am going to save that into that folder I've been making everything. Please save more often than I just did. You should be doing this probably every few minutes, just in case, especially when you make big changes. Let's go to Preview, and we're going to do entire project. If you do this slide, it'll work, but get in the habit of doing entire project, because if you have multiple slides, it won't load those slides, especially if somehow the slides are connected with buttons or, traveling in a linear path, so to speak. So I just like to do entire project and go through it all, make sure nothing's busted. But we'll click that, and when we click this, look at that, we get a check mark. Cool. Nothing happened though. That's all right. We're going to close this. And now this is really simple. You ready for this? We're going to Control-C, and we're just going to paste a button for each one of these. I'm going to use those pink ruler guides. You see them popping up. It'll actually help you line it up perfectly with the button above it. So we'll do another one. We'll do a fourth one. Something like that. And finally, we'll do one for the control panel section down here. Look at that. Simple enough. We're going to save one more time. We'll do entire project. And look at that. Simple enough. All right, so we've got 5 buttons. We've got a header, we've got the white background, we've got the image now. Now we actually want to create things that will pop up when you click these buttons. So what we're going to do is go here to the bottom right, and you see where it says slide layers. We're going to create some new layers. So we're going to make a new layer. And since the first thing that pops up is called cold water inlet, we are going to call this cold water inlet. Now we're going to do a little trick here in a minute with copy and paste, but just follow with me here. What I want to do is go to insert, and we're going to do a shape. And I'm going to draw another little square, and I'm going to do it right down the middle again. And this time, let's go ahead and do the teal. We'll try to match that whole marketing scheme that these clients had from earlier. If you notice here in your timeline, we have only one item because we're on a new layer. So we're going to name this photo background teal, just something like that. Let's go ahead and do text. And I'm going to put cold water inlet. We'll blow that guy up. And you know what? Black might look okay here, so we'll leave black there. We'll do photo, text, something like that. We're going to lock these. And then finally, let's add a photo. So since we're doing the cold water inlet, and I don't expect you guys to be experts on water heating or anything, but I've gone ahead and collected a few photos from my visit there. This is where the cold water enters a water heater. And I'm going to put that right where it's center. Awesome, awesome. Now, you could get a lot more fancier here. We could, to your heart's contempt, you could have something cover this entire slide. You could put text box, paragraphs, multiple photos, whatever you want to do. And kind of make like an interactive encyclopedia. But just to kind of show you the basics of getting it started, I'm just going to have it pop up cold water inlet, and here's a photo. But just know that, like I said, you could go as crazy as you want here. Make an entirely large layer, add as much stuff as you want. We're going to do that. Now, we're going to do a little cheat code here. I don't want to have to keep making that stuff over and over. So I'm going to go right here where it says duplicate the selected layer. We're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 of these now for each of these layers. Obviously, we don't want cold water inlet there 5 times, so we're going to rename these really quick. The second one is hot water outlet. The third one is pressure relief valve. Fourth one is tank drain. And now we got control panel. Let's just start with hot water outlet. We're going to come over here, and we're going to unlock it. Hot water outlet, boom, boom. And then we're going to actually right-click this photo, and you can do replace picture from file. And what it'll do most of the time, it's not always perfect, but most of the time, it will go get a photo, and when it replaces the original one you just had there, it'll resize, put it right where the other one was. I've had about 95% success rate doing that, so fingers crossed it works here. Same thing here. We'll unlock that. This is the pressure relief valve. And since that carried over to a second line, I'll just shrink it a little bit. And I will right-click, do replace picture, picture from file, pressure relief valve, and boom, boom. Next one. Probably shouldn't have locked these, but I just did that out of habit. We'll do tank drain, right-click, replace picture from file, and then finally just keep an eye on that. My layers jumped a little bit there, so just keep tabs on that so you don't forget anything. We're going to do control panel. Whoops. And same thing, right-click, replace, picture from file, control panel. All right, so good rule of habit again. Let's go ahead and save. Now we're going to go back to the original layer. So you want to go to that bottom one, none of these extra guys. What we're going to do now is we're going to do some basic programming. Articulate has a trigger system, as I like to call it, where if you do one thing, it has a reaction to do something else. If you go over here to the right side, you'll see the triggers panel. First thing I like to do, I don't ever plan on a interactive slide just going from one to the other. By default, it has that in place, kind of like PowerPoint. If you were to hit spacebar or enter, it would go to the next slide. I don't want that in my articulate stuff. I want a button. I want the user to actually be in full control and not accidentally do something. So the first thing I do is I actually disable these two things. They're there by default, but just disable them. What I'm going to do now is click this button right here, the first button for cold water inlet, and we're going to go over to triggers. And we're going to say create new trigger. And we are going to say show layer. And then now for layer, we're going to go to, you guessed it, cold water inlet. Now we're going to do the same exact thing here. We're going to click this button, go to new trigger, show layer. This is going to be hot water outlet. We're going to keep going down. Pressure relief valve, show layer, pressure relief valve. Tank drain. We are going to do tank drain, boom, boom. And then finally, control panel. Show layer, control panel. Let's go ahead and save, and let's see if that works. All right, so cold water out inlet. We'll click that, and look at that. There's the first one. Hot water, pressure relief, tank drain, and control panel. Perfect. How about I teach you to do one more thing? What if we want to get rid of this picture and just show the original image again? We're going to go up to Insert, and let's do one more button. And you know what? I will try a circle this time. Let's put a circle. How about we put it right here? Let's make it red. And we'll call this exit button. And we don't need to do a state because I just want to have the X there by default. So we'll go to Insert, Icons, and we'll put X. So we'll do X, and I'll just go get this X right here. We'll shrink it down, and we'll put it on top of that red circle. I'm actually going to do, let's see here, just to make this easy, I'm going to go to the exit button layer right here where it says oval. And I am going to hit create a new trigger. And what I want to do here is hide layer, this layer. And let's go ahead and try that out really quick. So that was on cold water inlet. Come over here. So you notice here, it does show up when we're on the red circle, but not the X. That's okay, we can fix that really quick. We will go ahead and give that icon as well, the X. We'll give that the same programming, hide layer, this layer. So the red circle and the X that we made will both close that layer. Let's go ahead and highlight both of these. Easy way to do that is to go to your timeline, hold shift, and click both of them. And then just control C. And I'm going to go to hot water outlet, control V to paste. It pastes it in the same exact spot. Pressure relief valve, same thing. Control panel, same thing. And tank drain, same thing. All right, so we're going to save entire project. And we'll go through this one last time. We're going to do cold water inlet. Boom, it's gone. All right, perfect. Hot water, pressure relief, tank drain, and control panel. Done and done. Just some closing thoughts. Like I said, you don't have to do something as simple as, 3 words in a photo. You could actually draw an entire layer to cover up the entire screen, put a lot more information there for your learners. This is just a really basic overview of how to get it started. Don't be afraid to honestly do this with your own project. Sometimes I go in, it's very, very basic, just like 2-3 colors, a couple of little basic buttons like this. And then after some time with my team to review and go over quality control, that's when we kind of go in there and make it even prettier and address any kind of graphics and stuff like that. Obviously, to some folks, this might be very plain and simple and boring, but just to kind of get the basic idea of how to get it working and programmed and stuff like that is great. So, If you have any questions, if anything else you'd like to learn, throw it in the comments, and I'll try to reach back out here. Thanks a lot.